Welcome to episode 8
Savage Discourse.
Yeah, Savage Discourse. If the Eiffel Tower was known to be physically aggressive, what would it be called, Kyle?
The Stifle Tower.
I love that. That's so good. Welcome to Savage Discourse, where Kyle and John talk about human topics in the realm of human experience and all things germane to that. Last week, we talked about the varieties of human perception, which is a very pretentious topic, but we talked about religion and about mindsets and about a lot of different topics related to different people from different mindsets. So I thought it was really interesting. This week, we're going to talk about something completely different.
Mm-hmm.
I am so sorry. I am completely wrong. Last week, we talked about leadership. Did you saw me go?
I was going to let it fly.
Dude, you watched me fall into that hole. You watched me.
I knew you dig yourself out.
My God.
I wanted to see how you were going to do it.
This is how I'm going to do it. I had the wrong topic.
This is my entertainment for the week.
Oh, my God. Yeah, thanks, Kyle.
Yeah.
Thanks for being there for me, best bud.
Mm-hmm.
So last week we actually starting over Savage Discourse. Welcome to episode 8.
Stifle Tower.
Stifle Tower. This week we're gonna. Last week we talked about leadership. We talked about leadership from different professional and personal anecdotes, different times in our lives, different job occupations. We talked about a lot of different stuff. It's really great. Check it out, and if you like, please leave a subscribe. Please subscribe. Leave a like. Please leave a subscribe.
Leave a subscribe.
Leave a little piece of yourself behind.
Comment us.
Comment us. Give us the goods.
You know we didn't get a porn link this time?
Oh,
I think we scared him off.
Kyle, that means our quality's degrading.
That's like our third biggest fan.
I thought he was our number one biggest fan.
No, we've had a couple of real comments. I'd put them above the porn links.
Okay.
But he's gone now.
Maybe we'll get him back. Maybe we'll get him back.
Yeah.
I hope so. I hope he's doing okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so last week we talked about leadership. So sorry about that. That intro that was completely off base. This week we're going to talk about something completely different. You could even say it's antithetical to leadership.
Yeah. We're going to talk about the variances of human perception.
Thank you, Kyle. This week we're going to be talking about festival culture.
Woo.
Yeah, because we both had a little bit of experience with that.
Yeah. I love them.
Yeah, they're pretty great. Festivals are really just an interesting kind of moment out of time. Sorry. They're just a moment. I was looking at something to throw at my bird.
I thought so.
No, no. Festivals are really, you think that with 8 episodes, technically, 8 episodes, we would have a better solution for this by now.
You can move them upstairs.
I don't know if my roommate would appreciate that. I hardly appreciate them sometimes, except for my little bird. She's perfect. She's never done anything to anybody.
So it's really just the one is the problem.
Yeah.
You could put a harness on her and put her outside while we record. Tired of something.
So here's the thing. I actually have a bird harness that I ordered when I got her after the first year, and that it even came with an instructional digital video. Digital. What's the second D in digital? Digital video.
DVR?
No, DVD.
Oh, digital video device.
That doesn't sound right.
What's better than what you were saying?
Okay, so just repeating digital twice. So
digital.
So it came with one. I watched it, and essentially they were really playing up the fact that it was super easy to do, and that every bird, no bird is going to like it, but they're going to get used to it with a little bit of positive reinforcement, a little bit of love, a little bit of cuddling, snuggling, a little bit of pairing the negative stimulus with a positive, and that did not help.
Mm-hmm.
Not at all. She hates it. She's terrified of it, and it fits around her little head, and it goes under her wings, and it's an elastic cord, so if she flew too far away, it would pull her back.
How many times did you try it?
Probably 10 or 15.
Why don't you just put it on her while we're doing podcasts so she'll be too scared to make a noise?
Oh, that sounds bad. That sounds like a punishment. I will say that I did not systematically desensitize or systematically pair a positive and neutral stimulus with that aversive. Like, I did not desensitize to her that at all. That was my fault.
So you didn't do what the digital video told you to do?
Digital video. The Digi. No, I did not.
Okay.
So anyway,
I don't know if it's her fault then.
No, it's not. She's beautiful. She's a great girl. It's just her sister's just better than her in every way. So welcome. We're talking about festival culture today. This is something that Kyle and I have a little bit and somewhere between a little bit and a lot of experience. Kyle actually has a lot more experience with festivals than I do.
Yeah. Are
And
we talking about music festivals? Like
yes.
Yeah, right.
We're talking. Not just like not general like a cheese festival.
Yeah, there's like art festivals, beer festivals.
Yeah, I can only imagine the range of the cornucopia festival varieties that exist.
Yeah.
And some of them would probably not be appropriate to cover.
So we're talking about music.
We're talking about music festivals specifically. Like some of the big ones, like we're gonna talk about like Hangout Fest, Bonnaroo,
Okeechobee.
It's hard to talk about something that doesn't exist, Kyle.
It does exist, John.
So, as a brief aside to our already aside that we've already assided, Kyle is convinced that there's a place. Where is it in Ohio?
Florida.
It's in Florida, and it's called Okeechobee.
It was literally it's a town called Okeechobee.
Okay, so here's the thing, Kyle. I've done my own research, and I've Googled this. You know what comes up?
You haven't Googled it if Okeechobee didn't come up.
It didn't come up. It doesn't exist, Kyle.
Did you spell it right?
I spelled it Okeechobee.
There it is. It's like a lake.
Okay.
It's a whole lake and town.
Man, it is hard to listen to you and your delusions about this. It is really hard for me as a friend who cares so much about you to hear this.
I was there, John.
Okay, well, I'm sure you were, buddy. Anyway, we're going to be talking about different music festivals, different places. Let's talk about that. So, like, we want to talk about not just music festivals, but festival culture, because that's more in the realm of human experience. And, what I think is fascinating about, especially from my anecdotal experience of places that exist, Kyle, are that it just feels like a different world. It feels like when you walk in, even though you pay an exorbitantly high price to get into them and there's a lot of preparation and, it's kind of this very controlled environment, it really feels like people kind of shed the skin that they have on out external to that world and really live kind of in like the animal souls that they have.
Yeah.
Kind of like, it's really fascinating, and I would love to like know more about it. But anyway, we're going to be talking about our own anecdotal experiences. But that's kind of what draws me to them.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever done a camping festival besides the one that we're going to talk about later?
Yeah. So I will be talking about my family. Actually, I was born into a family that hosts bluegrass festivals.
Ooh.
And there's camping and fishing and bluegrass and bourbon and all manner of things under the sun. And so, no, I would say other than the camping was always available, but it's not something that I would pay premium amount of money for. I would just rather walk several miles both ways to and from and then be exhausted.
Yeah.
It makes much more sense to camp, but I never did that.
Yeah, the camping one, like you're even more immersed in it to where it's like 3 full days where you can't leave the festival and you're just like you're a part of it.
Well, and I want to talk about your like recommendations and what you think is like the best festival experience and kind of get into that. But
you're not gonna like my answer.
We'll see.
All right.
I like some of the things you do, and I don't like some of the things you don't. So there's some parallels.
All right.
You know what parallels are the constituent unit of, Kyle?
What?
Parallelograms.
Whoa.
Isn't that cool? So I wanted to give Kyle the floor first. We're to talk about, because he's kind of the salty sea dog. He's kind of been to festivals before. I even fested on the Vole. I had no idea. And he's always, thanks for that pity laugh. And he is always, he knew a lot more. And obviously festival's been going on for decades and decades. What was that one that was huge that changed the world in America? It was like,
Woodstock?
No. Yeah. I was trying to think of a joke before you got to it first.
Oh.
Yeah. There's been festivals for decades, and I would say it's been like a human tribal thing that people have done, I would say anthropologically. I could see how festivals have always existed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're a celebration of, I would say that some festivals are themed, and like music festivals are a theme of a festival with they have different themes there, but like the main unifying force there is the music. And, I'm sure there was like other festivals like meat and cheese and fertility.
Fertility festivals.
Yeah, I could see that. There's like death festivals in other countries, like Germany. I think they have like festivals that like really delve into like the process of dying and
It's like a big
decomposition.
funeral.
No, it's actually like a celebration of life, and like the what is it, oh my God, the Day of the Dead in Spanish.
It's like that, but a festival.
Dias de Muertos. Yeah, I'm gonna Anglicanize it terribly and make a fool of myself. But yeah, so I mean, I think there's a lot. I think this has always been something that exists, and I think it's a beautiful way for people to come together and celebrate, and it just is it's so powerful. So, yeah, I would say even from like medieval times, like like I don't know, like what did you say earlier?
I said it's like medieval festivals, except instead of like jesters, I keep saying jesters running around with bells on their hats, you have EDM kids running around on drugs. But
that's beautiful.
Yeah, I know, it's poetic.
It's the transposition of the modern and the medieval.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's true, and I would say that especially those substances have the ability to render you into this very raw, very pure kind of. Like this blend of animalistic and poetic, and I think that maybe there's some through line there that transcends the generations.
Yeah, definitely.
That's cool. Well, cool. Well, I'm gonna let Kyle go first because he's the seasoned pilot here, and let him talk about what festivals what got him into festivals, what got him interested, and maybe some experiences from those. So I'm gonna turn it over to you, Kyle. All right, I'm turning it.
All right, hand me your mic.
Okay.
All right, cool. So, first festival I went to, I think, was Hangout Fest, probably 7.
Oh, I didn't know that was your first
7 years ago. Yeah, I went to Hangout Fest like 5 years in a row.
Okay.
Until it come to an abrupt end, but we'll get to that later.
You cannot prepare yourself for how abrupt of an end it came to.
Yeah. Stay tuned, everyone. So yeah, first one I went to with.
Have you ever seen a bowling ball hit a cement wall?
That's pretty accurate, yeah.
I guess they would bounce.
I bounced back.
Yeah, that's okay. That's fair. That kind of encompasses the whole.
The analogy
metaphor.
holds up.
Okay.
Yeah, I was the bowling ball, by the way.
You weren't the wall.
No, it was not the wall.
The cement wall. Okay.
Not this time. All right. So, Hangout Fest a couple of years ago, I was living in a house with 10 dudes. It was stanky, so we were trying to get out.
I have literally I have a bottleneck of jokes I want to make about that, and all of them are trying to come out at the same time, so I can't make any of them because of how many jokes that lends itself
You're
to.
just buffering right now.
It's like they're all wedged in the funnel. Like I can't get any of them out.
You got any? Or they slipping through?
That house should have been condemned by the city.
Probably is by now. We did.
There are stains that house has seen that no industrial cleaner can get out.
Yeah, it was like a frat house, but we weren't in a frat. We were just friends. It was a friend's house.
Fritz, friends.
Yeah. Anyway, so most of us decided to pack up and go to a festival in good old Alabama, which we'll get to that later.
Okay.
Alabama sucks.
Sure. So spoilers, Kyle. Spoilers.
Yeah. So
of course, I think anyone who lived there in and around, they probably are aware, but
yeah, they know.
Okay.
They know. So we decided to take a big RV down. You remember that?
I wasn't there.
I know you weren't there, but
I've bibbered the stories. I've bibbered that.
Yeah, so it would have been a good idea if we would have stuck to the actual preferred or recommended limit of the amount of people that should have been in the RV, which is 4, but we stuffed 9 people in there, and it was hell.
You just can't get away from having multiple dudes.
We were poor, so
I'm sorry.
It's a bunch of poor college kids, so everyone just crammed in. So it was. Oh, he was there. Your roommate was there. Never mind. I have a story that I'm not going to tell.
Okay. I think that roommate would appreciate that.
Okay, so anyway, so we went down there. It was a long ass trip in an RV, so it wasn't very comfortable either. Pretty bouncy. But once we got there, we set up. Just pretty much everything went wrong that it could. I think we bottomed out 4 times, and the septic tank started leaking everywhere. It was pretty disastrous. But the actual music festival was pretty cool.
So you would go as far as to say that your adventure down there was shitty?
Shitty. Very shitty.
That's high level comedy.
Yeah, it is. It's a good one.
Thanks.
Was that one of those that was stuck in the funnel that finally got
No,
out?
dude, that funnel is just indelible. It's indefinitely plugged.
Oh no, John's not going to be funny anymore.
Nope. I don't think I ever was.
Oh, all right. So the actual music festival was cool. We went in. I don't even remember who was headlining that year. There's it's a 3-day festival, and it's
on the beach.
Yeah, on the beach in Gulf Shores, Alabama, and it was one of those that you can't camp at. So we pretty much went in and we walked to our hotel room and did that 3 days in a row. And it was pretty fun.
What made you decide to go to that one as your first one, or was it just chance?
I mean, it wasn't that one in particular. I just remember Zach, one of my good friends. He'd been to a couple of music festivals, and he just picked that one. He was like, "All right, everybody's going to this one," and I was like, "All right,
That sounds like our friend."
I'll be there," and I was.
And and so it was.
So it was.
And so it was.
Zach said, "Let us hang out," and it was good.
And the hanged was out.
Yeah.
That's cool. So so I know that I have been to 2 consecutive Hangout Fest after the kind of heyday. And yeah, I would say we caravan down together. And one of my favorite, just as kind of a brief aside, but one of my favorite stories is the one of you and I riding down there in a car with our friends. And Kyle and I, so we've been friends for a while. We actually became good friends through our mutual friend that Kyle mentioned. And we actually discovered that we're actually a lot more like children than we are adults, because we would eat a bunch of candy and we would get really loud and obnoxious and sing songs and listen to things on split headphones, like my left ear to his right ear. And then we would abruptly fall asleep for anywhere between 30 minutes and an hour, just knocked out cold. Then wake up and do that over and over until we got
stuck in a loop.
The entire 9-hour drive.
We were stuck in a loop for 9 hours. We were just smashing candy. We'd ride the sugar high, literally bouncing off the walls in the back, and then
the very
pass
limited
out.
confines of the back, just ricocheting.
And around the 5th hour, our friends pointed out to us what we were doing. And we had a moment of realization.
Yeah, we were just stuck in this loop where it was just this happy, fun traveling, this chaotic our inner ids released just all over each other.
Yeah.
That's one of my, anyway. So, that's one of my favorite memories from going down there. But, so you've been to that. What other festivals have you been to?
There's a couple local ones here. Louder Than Life is
local meaning Louisville, Kentucky.
Louisville, Kentucky.
Louisville,
Kentucky. There's a Louder Than Life, which is like a rock/metal one. You've been there, right?
I've been there several times.
Yeah.
Yes, it's quite enjoyable.
Yeah, it's real cool. Supposed to have Metallica this year, but
C word. It's taken everything from us, Kyle. There's nothing left.
Metallica canceled anyway because they're
like, yeah, I know they're not, but I just see them being British and being like, yeah, we're not going to play in Kentucky.
No, where's that Kentucky place?
No, I've never even heard. No, thank you.
No, they canceled because their lead singer had drug rehab on the exact dates. So
that'll make touring in your rock band that feels the drug addiction really difficult.
Yeah. I feel like you probably could have pushed it back a week, but who knows? I don't know what he's got going on next week.
It's not very thoughtful about his addiction.
Yeah, I guess.
Listen, we know that you're chemically addicted to substances that are ruining your life, but can you please go put on a show for a bunch of rednecks in Kentucky?
But he announced this like 6 months before the date. He was like, I'm going to have rehab on that date. Okay. I don't think he wanted to come to Kentucky.
Yeah, I'm starting to see the stars align. I'm seeing a constellation form.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, and I've been to that one too. Have enjoyable experiences, lots of rock and metal, which is my preferred flavor of my art that decorates time.
Yeah. And then there's one called Forecastle, which is more folky, EDM-y, hippie-like. Yeah. It's kind of hard to put a label on Forecastle.
I forgot about that. I've been to Forecastle with you several times.
Yeah, that's where we experienced VR for the first time. You remember that?
Oh, I do. They had that little booth.
VR headsets, like in the beginning of VR. It was terrible.
It was just called virtual.
Yeah.
It was just the V.
It was virtual non-reality. We got to put them on and play tic-tac-toe. It's pretty cool.
That is really well. To be fair, for a lot of individuals there that were experiencing an altered version of reality, that was probably the knees of the bee.
Yeah.
To some of us who were, I remember. The knees were bees.
It wasn't until after the fact that I was like, that was shitty. In the moment, though, I was like, this is the future.
I think I see every reality except except this one. Okay, yeah, Forecastle is cool. That's a local one that Louisville puts on. That they bring a lot of national bands in. And, I think the headliner's always like, I think the Killers was the last one, and then
like Cage the Elephant.
was Odessa there?
Odessa was there.
Okay.
Odessa's much better in a venue though.
Yeah, that's true. The sound reverberates.
Yeah, I've seen Odessa like 6 times now, I think. And
let's not go down that hole.
What, the Odessa hole?
Yeah, there's a lot to be said.
Okay. And then I think the only other festival. Oh no, never mind. I've been to more. So Okeechobee, which is a real place in Florida, but we'll just skip over it.
My boy is sick. Well, he's so sick.
And then there is one called Terrapin here in Kentucky, which is a lot like yours at your house.
Yeah, I'm gonna draw a line well, not a solid line, more like a dotted, like hyphenated line that says like, yeah, there's similarities, but
it's bluegrass.
Sounds like the debauchery. I think the debauchery is a little bit. Well, actually, I'm gonna erase that line in the sand. Maybe they are very similar.
Yeah, there's bluegrass, and it was actually I don't know how it happened, but it's got a Grateful Dead following. So most of the people that show up there are Deadheads from back in the day. So almost, I'd say 97% of the people you encounter are on high doses of LSD at all times. So it's fun to go and people watch for sure.
Yeah, Grateful Dead. They use the they've been following that band for decades, and the name is like synonymous with like the Deadheads. They like follow them and go. Are they still touring, or is it like their children who are carrying the torch now?
I don't know. Somehow a bunch of them ended up in Terrapin, so I don't know what's going on with the Grateful Dead.
Well, that's so cool. I know you can always identify them by that little like bear that's like with a psychedelic background. He's like doing a little dance, kind of like the sticker of the bear. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Cool. Well, never mind then. I could have sworn. If I'm wrong, please correct me in the comments. I feel like there's a little bear with like a little clown kind of like thing around his neck.
Little clowny bear.
Yeah, and he's just like doing this like 1 foot out like on a psychedelic background.
I've always identified them because they have dreads and say, "I'm here for the Grateful Dead."
Well, I mean that's the litmus test. That's like the easiest way to identify them.
Yeah.
Well, cool. So okay, so this is why I let the connoisseur of the what's a festival C word?
Corn.
The connoisseur of the corn. Why is it corn? All right, Kyle, you're the corn connoisseur as it relates to festivals.
Nice.
If you enjoy that moniker.
I like it a lot.
Okay. So I let the connoisseur of corn go first because he has just so much experience. So what would you say was let's start with the best. What was your best festival experience?
Okeechobee.
Oh,
told you weren't going to like it.
He's got it so bad.
It was the best. It was the only camping festival I went to.
He's got it he's so sick. My boy is so sick.
It's good.
He needs the therapy.
It was real good.
Okay. Yeah, well, tell me about it. What was it like, Kyle? Tell me about
It was
it.
a camping festival.
Oh, I bet it was. What did you do there?
I'm not. Stop. It was real, John.
Okay.
It was good memories.
Well, it's interesting that your best and most coveted memories are from a place that geographically doesn't exist.
You didn't Google it.
I did.
No, you didn't. You probably like Mr. Jeeves did.
Ask Jeeves,
Yeah.
the Yahoos, the whatever the search compiler before Google.
The Yahoos. Yeah, you probably Yahooed it. You went to Yahoo
I went to
Maps.
MSN Live and I was like, "What is the Dobie Chobe?" And they were like, "I'm sorry, you'll have to ask you'll have to ask a question about matters that pertain to reality."
They should have a Michael Caine search engine.
You go to put it in, and he's like, "Excuse me, sir, what can I help you with today?" Like, what should I eat for breakfast? And he's like, well, protein is part of a balanced diet. Have you had protein today?
I always suggest eggs.
Oh. Well, that's cool. Okay, well, if that's your best experience, which, I'm what made that imaginary experience the best?
Bass Nectar played 2 or 3 times back before he was a Predator. Well, I think he was a Predator at the time, but no one knew.
No one knew about it.
Yeah, Bass Nectar. I used to love Bass Nectar.
Yeah, for those of you who don't follow electric dance music, EDM culture, one of the one of the biggest international DJs, Mr.
Nectar.
Mr. Nectar. as he's referred to by his dad, came out as having relationships with underage.
He denies it, but there's some pretty firm evidence that he was doing things with 16 and 17-year-olds.
That's
Which,
really unfortunate.
Yeah, it is. He denied it, but there's like video.
Well, and then he
recording.
immediately like removed himself from his
Yeah,
industry.
he denied it and then retired, basically.
And we're not here to cast aspersions or, we're just reporting. We're just saying what we know to what has been out there. We don't know one way or the other, but there's, he's kind of put himself in a rough place.
Yeah, the evidence isn't looking good.
Yeah.
But anyway, back before all that, when he was an upstanding citizen, he was probably my favorite to go see, and I'd seen him a couple times, but I saw him twice there, and it was real cool. Cool. I pretty much drank like a whole box of wine.
Whole bag?
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess we did take it out of the box. And
slap the bag.
You know those little Mio shots?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Dude, I had like 3 of those in my pocket, and I was just slamming them straight up, just like squirting them in the back of my throat.
Can you... What is that like? I've never even considered that was a possible use of those little squirter
It's like that, but in a squirt form.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. I have a caffeine problem.
As you sip from your Mountain Dew goblet containing no less than 2 liters of coffee.
This is just my life now.
Okay. Oh man, maybe the podcast is bad for you.
Oh no, I'd be doing this either way.
Oh, okay, cool. Then we can use that energy.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so if that was your best, and it was just the music and what was enjoyable about what I guess what I'm trying to get at is what part of that what was the role of the culture there? Obviously around a bunch of like-minded people, and there's the music that and obviously there may or may not be substances floating around. What kind of parts came together to make that such an enjoyable, memorable experience?
Okay, so I went down there with a bunch of hippies. They're my good friends.
Oh, yeah.
My good hippie friends.
I know
And
them.
when we got there, it turns out everyone was a hippie. It was real cool.
Turns out
Yeah.
people who like to go to music festivals tend to be of the hippie origin.
Yeah, but like I said, it was my first camping festival, so like it was a totally different world once you got in there because you couldn't leave. Like you were there for 3 days and setting up tents and stuff, and like people were just going around just selling stuff, like not all drugs either. Like some
They didn't. Not even some of them didn't even sell drugs.
Yeah, a lot of them were like selling pins, like they made like their own pins and just went to festivals and sold them, and like gyms and stuff like that.
My brother my younger brother has gone to a Burning Man, not the one in the Air Force.
Yeah.
He's much too busy with Air Force stuff and a family. But my younger brother has actually been to Burning Man, and he said that he went to a sister burn, not the main one, but like one of the sister sites that have popped up.
All right.
Yeah, that's what they're called. They're
sister burn.
Yeah. They pop up, so they're like a sister to the the main matriarch of the Burning Man.
I don't know much about it. I just know it's a.
But so the point of what he was saying is that there's this huge culture there of self-sufficiency and of being very grassroots. So people would create their own biofuel, their own products, their own food, and they would just walk around and sell it. And they would trade. And there was like this interpersonal unspoken commerce. Like, oh yeah, well if you have that food or this item, I will give you this, and then this is what we needed. And there was also was really fascinating a culture of DIY and communalism. So like they would all they're like, oh, we need fire for this bonfire tonight. Everybody who wants to help do that, come cut wood with us. And everyone who wants to cook the food, go do that. And they would just, and I'm sure there were social loafers who were just, wanted to explore the astral plane around like-minded people. But it seemed like a lot of people were there, if they were part of that camp or not, they really just wanted to be a part of that unity of that community.
Yeah, I think it's like I've heard it's like a rule in Burning Man you're not allowed to use cash. Like you're not allowed to use currency.
I can see that, yeah.
It's kind of like they're test driving a hippie commune.
Yep.
They're all just kind of like, can we do this? And then after 4 or 5 days, they're like, we can't do this.
That would be a whole other podcast conversation to talk about how those kind of pop-up communal utopias, because that's happened a lot over the years. And I mean, I don't know enough about it to say, but from what I understand, there's a great book by Skinner called Walden 2, and he talks about, which is based on the book by Thoreau Walden, where he goes out into the country and lives by himself. And it's basically where he talks about a utopia that follows behavior analysis principles like positive reinforcement and everyone, all these stuff. I haven't read it. I just know a synopsis because in grad school we talked about it, so I should probably have done that before I talked about it. But, I think, and I don't know if it's a statistic that they cite in that, or maybe I've heard it somewhere elsewhere, but like something like 80 or 90% of communes just devolve into politics and people stealing and just all these. And I'm not saying that about everything. Obviously, there's got to be some that do hit the right notes, but it just seems like, people kind of, at some point, they seem to break down.
Yeah, I always hear about like these great hippie communes starting and never really hear about how they end. And I guess that makes sense.
There's a lot of fanfare, and it's kind of like, what is it, it kind of ends in a whisper.
Yeah. Speaking of that, at Hangout Fest, watch out for these people. There's people standing outside hanging out their pamphlets for their commune, and I picked one up. It's pretty cool. I picked it up on the way out one year because I needed reading material for the way home. But it was what they do is they try to like kidnap you. Basically, they get you to read their little pamphlet, and if you're into it and you start up a conversation with them, they take you to their little hippie bus. Do you remember this hippie bus?
You did tell me about that.
They take you to their
I remember that.
bus.
You say don't get in any buses.
Yeah, do not get in a hippie bus with these people because they're telling you about their commune. They tell you to come into the bus, and you walk in there, and they have this Kool-Aid they get you to drink. And I don't know what happens after that, but don't drink it. I can assume it's not good. You probably wake up in a few years in a commune.
That sounds terrifying.
Yeah. So
okay, so be wary of psychedelic Kool-Aid buses.
Yeah.
I think that stands out in my mind and in the environment enough to where I can remember that.
Unless you're trying to go to a commune, I mean, that might be a
actually,
quick
yeah. If you're trying to get to a commune, that is your straight direct flight.
Yeah.
To commune
First
city.
class.
First class. Well, cool. That's okay. So so we talked about your best experience in a place that arguably doesn't exist. So let's talk about your worst experience.
Okay.
So what on the festivals that you've been to, what kind of created what was it that what would you say is your worst experience? What kind of factors led to that, and yeah, what was your worst experience?
Okay. So one time, it actually happens to be the last festival I went to.
This is what we were talking about earlier with the bowling ball and the cement wall.
All right, it was at Hangout Fest.
Flashback.
And I, while walking in, stupidly tried to take in an illicit substance.
Oh.
Yeah.
Everyone does.
Yeah.
It's like it's un-American to not try to smuggle something illicit in with you.
The problem was I had a sign on me that said, "I am a hippie, search me."
You had it duct taped to your chest.
Yeah, I was wearing a floral hat, a tie-dye tank top, and a pashmina, which is a scarf, on a 99-degree beach. So they pulled me aside and searched me.
Yeah, I just want to say I was wearing a button-up floral like Florida T-shirt with regular shorts and regular glasses, and I did not get searched.
Yeah. The next day I didn't get searched because I wore normal people clothing.
For you were being what is that word that people profiled? You got profiled.
No, I don't. I mean, whatever. Anyway. Yeah, so that was my worst experience. Needless to say, they didn't let me go into the festival that day. I ended up in hangout jail. I got to listen to Logic, though, from the hangout jail.
Yeah, you
did. That was pretty cool. I was dancing in all my chains and stuff.
I cannot imagine a worse hell than being in a small, confined cell behind one of the main stages with people that have probably assumed they would get in and already took some substances or are just furious or having a bad time.
Yeah.
I cannot imagine a worse hell than being in
there. Was one dude in there who took like many hits of acid when they drug him in, and I don't think he even spoke English. I don't know how he ended up there, but they drug him in and like threw him in there with me, and he was like just on the ground like he couldn't figure out how to stand up, and they were just like screaming at him, telling him to stand up, and they were gonna like beat his ass and all this.
That's awful.
Yeah.
That's inhuman.
Yeah.
Ugh.
But then Logic came on and made it better.
I'm sure that guy, that was just extra sensory input that was just pushed him so certain closer to that psychotic edge.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that's terrible.
Yeah. But then I snuck in the festival the next day, and it was better.
Yeah, and I kind of want to talk about this story because this is great because I got slapped twice by somebody that I consider a very close personal friend. And it's not somebody that slaps gently. Like when you think of slap, like you don't really think of it being you think of a slap like just a little like poop across the face, maybe some light tissue redness, not tissue trauma, and so the first thing that happened was when my poor friend Kyle here got profiled and
poor friend
poor Kyle and got taken away to Alabama behind the stage jail. We were trying to get a call to action to figure out what was going to happen and how to resolve that. And so our alpha friend, who is in the military and an MMA fighter and is very in shape and has arms like cannons and hands like bricks, decided that I was not going to participate in the help Kyle action. And I got 5 across the face for mentioning that. And so that was the first thing that happened. The second thing that happened was the next day, I was going to slip my bracelet over Kyle. So I was going to sneak in without beeping it, which indicates that you're there. And then I was going to take another person's and then give it and then use that one and then take the one that I didn't use to my friend Kyle. And of course, what is a rallying war initiative without facial trauma? So I got slapped, which I assume was a motivation technique.
Did he slap you on the same side twice, or did he even it out?
Oh, well, he's right-handed.
Ooh.
So, and I don't think I inverted my body to where I faced him with my left cheek.
You should have had it. You should have been ready. You should have been prepared.
I should have inverted my body.
Should have turned around so you could get that other cheek.
So anyway, that was amazing for me to help a good friend out. So thank you, friend. You know who you are. For slapping the shit out of me.
Yeah. My worst experience may have been your worst experience too, but to a much lesser degree.
To a very much lesser.
You haven't been.
I don't know. I have not sued for damages, for loss of wages, or for emotional trauma, but I've still got that in my back pocket, friend. So you know who you are.
What's the statute of limitations on a slap?
Legally it's 2 years, but emotionally it's there is no endpoint.
Oh,
so.
Well,
Anyway,
you can't sue him anymore.
not illegally, but emotionally, I could take alimony for him for the rest of my life. Anyway, so that does sound pretty bad. That sounds pretty awful. And then we were able to come get you later that night.
Yeah, because I went to they decided to move me from festival jail to real jail, and it was, I think the jail was like an hour and a half away from the festival. So they threw us in the back of a van and drove us there. We were like bouncing around. And then once we got there, they pulled us out and took us in, did that thing where they get your fingerprints and stuff. And then my friend was there, the guy who smacked the shit out of John a couple times.
Oh, thank God he came to slap you too.
Yeah, he actually did. He was actually really nice with me.
Well, you've been through a lot today.
Yeah, the state of Alabama collectively smacked me.
He saw. Yeah, that's right. He saw in you that you had been slapped enough already. He saw in me a fresh virgin face needing to be ripened.
Yeah. So, yeah, and then I came back the next day. They cut off my wristband, though. That's why they had to do that whole...
that's why we did the old ruse.
The old switcheroo.
Oh,
They
yeah.
cut... Oh, yeah, that's another reason to be profiled. I had the hangout wristband along with, I believe, 12 other wristbands.
Yeah, you had like flowing, like you had bangles of previous.
I went
festival
hard that
experience.
year. It was only a matter of time before something went wrong.
Well, and I think that's really important to talk about, like in festival culture, is that it does, and we at the very, and I think that's kind of the last talking point is kind of that whole very specific, the cultural aspect to it. But it really does exist outside of time, but it does still exist within the confines of regular society. And Alabama, which we did look on their website, is very, very. There is no way that you could not be more than assured that there was a zero tolerance state.
Oh, yeah.
For any illicit substances. They had it posted all over everything. However, Alabama, are you serious? Like it's a music festival.
Yeah.
What do you mean? What do you mean, Alabama? Explain. I am confusion.
The reason John's still upset about this is because I'm still dealing with this 2 years later.
And this is and Kyle is somebody that, and I know it sounds like a personal character, like I'm like professing like a characterization for you legally, but like this is a man that has never had a speeding ticket. He's never had anything. He is like off the grid in every legal sense, has never done anything to anybody, is one of the nicest, most genuine human beings I've ever met. And he got coitused by the long spiky phallus of Alabama.
Mm-hmm. Didn't feel good.
No, I can't imagine that. No, I can't imagine that.
Yeah, it's cool though. I learned from it.
Yeah, well,
Don't go to Alabama anymore. Is
here's the takeaway.
the main takeaway.
Continue to bring illicit substances into various music festivals, but do not under any circumstances visit that state.
Yeah. No, what else could I take away from this?
We are educated beings, Kyle. So for those of you out there who can't see this because we're not using a video,
So everyone.
Kyle just slid me his phone, and on there is a blank screen. What are you trying to show me, Kyle?
John, stop trying to make me think I'm crazy.
There's nothing on that screen, Kyle.
What's on the screen is a town called Okeechobee, Florida, but John's in denial.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I did see it, buddy. It was on there. It had a state and outlines, and it had the highways, and it had the Wikipedia explanation under it.
Oh God! The more I read into this, the more it sounds made up. It says, top question, where in Florida is Okeechobee? Okeechobee, Florida is located in Okeechobee County in the state of Florida. Oh, God.
Where is Denmark? Denmark is located in Denmark.
Man, maybe I have had a psychotic break. Maybe it's not all okay.
Aw, we'll get you the help you need, buddy.
Yay.
And to all those people who mistakenly believe they live there. They're just standing out in the forest, just staring like vacantly ahead, and they're just like, Okeechobee. Okeechobee.
Okeechobee.
Well, cool. Well, I guess I'll transition to talking about my festival experience.
Do it.
Is there anything else you want to cap that off with or add to the discussion?
To
the discourse, if you will?
Not really. Startling into traveling for festivals.
That has got to be the worst way, and it can happen to anybody. So that's another, for anyone out there. Kyle is one of the nicest, most pure, genuine, light human beings that exist, and he got a really unfair hand dealt to him. So it could happen to anyone. So be very careful.
Yeah, just be careful. I mean, it's not unfair. I mean, it's not like I didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah, well, and you didn't know that. You can't say you didn't know the risks.
Yeah, like I'd taken the risks many times, and eventually, like I said, I'd been to many festivals that year in particular, and eventually, the odds were not in my favor. But I won't be doing that again.
Yeah,
so
I would say
I will probably start traveling again when the great state of Alabama allows me to leave my home state of Kentucky again. But I do not believe that I will be taking illegal substances.
Isn't that terrible that a state has jurisdiction over you, another state of where you choose to exist?
Especially one as shitty as Alabama. That's like a 5-year-old controlling your life.
I know. They're like, you can't go here. Oh, wait. I don't like that. That state is spelled too many letters. I don't like that either.
Nope, can't do that. That's not even a real place.
I bet they don't even have macaroni and cheese there. So, okay, well, that is Kyle's experience. So my experience with festivals is similar, and it overlaps, and I kind of, put that out there because we've been to several festivals together, including the metal and the hippie ones. Metal festivals are typically not hippie as in their constituency. They tend to be a very different demographic of individuals.
Yeah, but the people there, if you've never been to like a metal show or a metal festival, the people there are pretty cool.
They're very nice.
You would think
nice
they'd
people.
be like hardcore and like...
Yeah. Just
metal and throwing up devil horns all the time and kicking people in shins, but they're actually pretty cool.
Yeah, the shin kicking is what I very visually is how I associate with metal people.
Yeah, you got to avoid the shin.
I wear
kickers.
my soccer shin pads anytime I go to a metal show.
Oh yeah,
because I know the danger of getting shins bruised from the kicks. Oh yeah, as a metal person myself, a lot of us are very cuddly, very friendly, and we help anybody and want to help everyone who's there. And it's a community. No matter where you go and you have that amount of people, there's always a community. So it's interesting. So I mentioned earlier that I grew up in a. I was born into a house. I was born in a house. I was born,
What?
No, I'm sorry. I was born into a family. Well, I don't want to give my last name away.
I think you just did.
The Jamaican
Johns, the Jamaican Johns.
The Jamaican Johns. And I grew up in. I can't even do a Jamaican accent. Ugh, I'm embarrassed. Okay, so I grew up in a family. I keep saying I grew up. I was born in a house. I was
raised in a house.
I was raised in a.
I lived in a
festival.
house.
I was born in a house, raised in a hospital. Shit, I can't get this right.
You're doing
I was
good.
born in. Thank you. I was born into a family that had been carrying on a festival for at that point several decades. So I kind of got really used to it, and we had it once a year in the beginning, and then in 1988 I was born, and it grew to 2 times a year. We had a spring and a fall festival, and this was basically this festival. Before I go into the history of it, basically what happened was a bunch of older, younger, all generations of people came out to my family's house in Indiana or to a farm in southern Illinois. And they play. It was primarily bluegrass themed, and so a lot of old friends and acquaintances and colleagues and teachers and family members, everyone came out to visit. This is like a family reunion / kind of friendly cultural reunion, and people would come out there. They would play bluegrass music. They would camp for days. They would bring alcohol and other substances, and they would people men and women that are in their 60s and 70s would stay up all night long in circles picking together, just playing music, and it was really amazing. And I grew up in that. Like, I just thought that was normal, and it was so cool. And it was just I don't know, some of my fondest memories of growing up are being a part of that small subculture of just knowing that a bunch of people are there. Everything felt safe. It felt so comfortable. We could go swimming in the pond, or we could go hiking. There was music everywhere. There was food everywhere. There was all these people from all over the country that came. It was so amazing. It was so great to be a part of it. And it actually, so the interesting thing is that it's part of a legacy. So it started in the 70s. And if the Whiteside family, who is actually the founders of this, if they ever hear this, I'm not going to do justice to the man who started this, Dale Whiteside. He is larger than life. He's a storyteller, jack of all trades. I don't know. I know he has at least 1 doctorate. I think he went for several. Lifelong academic, could speak like 10 different languages.
Jeez.
Was an immense man, very tall, very broad, just an immense man. So back in the 70s, he was he was either a doctorate of or was pursuing his doctorate in anthropology at Southern Illinois, and he taught a course in folk music. And it became very popular because it was, post 60s and the 70s. Everyone was doing, all the hippie stuff. And they bought a farm, which I think was backed up against the Cherokee National Forest there. And at the end of every semester, they would have a party, and they would invite all the students that were in that music class, that folk music, to come and to play music. And because it was the 70s and Dale was younger, and it's really hard to just explain the gravitas and the incredible spirit this guy had. And he was I think we talked about this before. He's getting he's I think in his 80s or 90s, and starting to see the decline, and it's really hard to watch. But his legacy is one of just incredible. Just exuberance and intellect. And so anyway, my dad got involved in 1975, and at that time there was over 200 people from the university and other that would come, and they'd play at the end of the semester parties. And they would actually, my dad and his buddy would play in the band with him on the front porch in front of all these students, and they would play and pick music together. And it just became this beautiful thing. And then they moved to another house. And the thing that was what I think is really cool about it, and they always called it Rivendell or Rivendell, and I never knew where that came from or why. And then I spoke to my dad recently, and Rivendell is from the Lord of the Rings.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
I knew that sounded familiar.
Yeah, and so Dale, being the incredible voracious reader and the appetite for literature that he had, he loved the Lord of the Rings, which was very big in the Vietnam era, because that was kind of an escape from all that. And so Rivendell is this place, and I apologize to Tolkien fanatics out there if I'm going to not do this justice, but Rivendell was a place that was spoken about that was like a sanctuary place where everyone could come and there was no conflict. It was like home, and that's what every explanation I found of it said, is that it felt like coming home.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it felt like. It always felt like you were with an extended family that was loud and boisterous and played music and drank and stayed up till 5 a.m. and then, drank coffee and were up at 8 or 9 and, playing music again. And it was just, it was so, it's hard to explain. So there's something I realized about myself, is that when I hear bluegrass music now as an adult, like when I go or when I put it on, it has this like almost calming effect for me. Like, yeah, I don't particularly love bluegrass music, especially some of the topics and, the religiosity of some of it, but it's very, it's almost like, it's like it's hard to explain. It's like a tone that I can hear in the music that connects me with my history and my family's past and all the generations that have been a part of the Rivendell over the years. And it feels like I'm coming home.
That's
cool. It feels amazing. And so whenever I hear bluegrass music, I feel that way. And it's very calming. It has like an anxiolytic, like a reduction of anxiety property to it. I just feel very calm. Yeah. And I feel very, because that's what, I just remember even now, like I remember the bass lines of the boom, 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 boom. Mm-hmm. And I just hear those in my head from the upright basses that would be played down at the farm, at my parents' house at the farm in the field where they had a barn foundation where people congregated. I can still hear that,
That's cool.
And that's amazing. And unfortunately, it's actually come to an end because everyone, that was, it started almost, more than 50 years ago. Mm-hmm. And it's, everyone in there is aging, to the point where they're becoming decrepit, and the next generation should be me and a lot of my family member, some of maybe my brothers and some other individuals that were pivotal to the start, but they picked up along the way. But we don't have the social network, so it was actually given to another group in Indiana, I think, that is like a bluegrass festival, and they're going to carry on the tradition. But I've been thinking a lot about it, and I kind of feel like I want to reclaim ownership of that. But
do it.
I know, right? That would be so cool. That'd be like the legacy.
Do anyone play like the bottle where you like blowing the bottle with the 3 X's? I could do that.
I could talk, dude. We would need a series of podcasts for me to talk about all the experiences I have. But from the camping to the musicians to the alcohol later as I came of age, and everything else, and the camaraderie, the family, the stories, and the people. I mean, there's been so many people that used to go to that just aren't alive anymore. And
yeah.
My parents are aware of that, and it's sad and it's hard to pass the torch, but also it went on for 50 years, which is incredible.
Yeah.
And Dale Whiteside started all that, and this is really incredible. So anyway, that's my relationship to music festivals from a personal perspective. And so when but I'd never been to a bigger festival, like with like thousands, hundreds of thousands or however many people, like Hangout Fest. And I think that my Kyle and some of our mutual friends eventually talked me into it, and I think because of my history I was predisposed to enjoying that. And I, not that I enjoy being around thousands and thousands of people, but after going to it and experiencing it, it definitely is another world.
Oh, yeah.
It's like it's like in between the areas where they're cordoned off in the city where they set up, the festival grounds. It's like there's just like an invisible barrier that you pass through that then signals that you are, to your body and to your mind, that you are now entering into like a place outside of time. Mm-hmm. People just act differently in festivals. And of course you have the hubris and the humanity, the ego and everything else you would have anywhere else. But you also have a community. You have all these people that are there that, that want to be there, that it's fun. They all paid to be there, in some cases. And, people are supportive. They're helpful. There's, like we talked about earlier, there's, an exchange of goods. Everyone just seems like it just seems so, it's like kind of like you're slipping into this pool of water where you're connected to every molecule and everyone else is, and you're all together in that tank. Like,
yeah, everyone's just happier.
Yeah.
People, it's hard to be sad in a music festival.
We've seen it happen to some people, but that is definitely the minority.
Yeah, and most people just want to spread that happiness.
Oh, they sure, and I love that. Like, I think that when I went, me and a friend, we actually brought in a bunch of stickers,
Yeah, I
which were
remember
probably
that.
suspect because they probably thought there was drugs on them or something. But thankfully they let us in there; they were still in the package, and we just stood out in front of a popular crossing area and just rolled out like 30 feet of stickers and just let people come and grab them, and people come and give you hugs, they kiss you on the cheek, they come, they're just thankful. Some people just take them, but it's I don't know. There's where else could that happen? Like where else could people not would chastise you or where could men wearing nothing but sparkles and tassels and everything else and being out in the sun and it's like where I don't know. There's just a place for everybody there.
Definitely, no one's left out.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's amazing. It's like the perfect. So it's I don't know. That's why I wanted to talk about the cultural aspect to it because it feels like it would exist for forever, like it could, but I think, the problem with paradise is that it's untenable in the long term.
Yeah.
But again, I think that's a topic for another time. But, so I've been to Hangout Fest. I'm trying to think of like what my best memory would be. I know what one of my best memories would be. This just came to me. So, it was the first night. Well, okay, so let me kind of reframe this. So we drove all the way down through the night, and I do not do caffeine well at all. And I drank 3 energy drinks and drove through the night. And we got to the beach and enjoyed, some substances. And so the very first thing that happened when I got to our destination was I had a massive debilitating panic attack. Isn't that amazing? On vacation.
Beach.
Yeah, on the beach.
It was beautiful.
It kind of seems like that's an oxymoron or like it's impossible, but like
it happened.
It sure does.
John found the way.
I found a way to ruin paradise. So I went upstairs and I slept for most of the day. And everyone else went to the first day of the festival, and people were upset and worried if I was going to make it. But I knew that I was going to. I was dedicated to make it. And also, I paid a lot of money, so I was going to go, and I wanted to be with all the people that I loved in a beautiful place. So, I took a bus down there. We took a shuttle. Then and I was feeling a lot better, and I found all my friends. And the first concert that I saw at a music festival was Dylan Francis.
Yeah.
And we were right up close. We're right up next on the barricade, like maybe like 50 to 100 feet from the barricade, which, in these kind of festivals, there are, hundreds and hundreds of feet of open area. We were really right up next to the stage as much as we can be. And, it was amazing, and he played an incredible cover of My Chemical Romance. The Black Parade, and he blended it with Turn Down for What by Little Joy.
He made it happen somehow.
He made it happen.
It's kind of hard to imagine those going together. But,
yeah, it sounds not. It had this very slow, somber, but everyone sang along, and then right before the rock part was about to kick in, after the long, kind of slow sung intro, he played that song. It was unreal, and so I don't know if it was the next day or the day after, but Mumford and Sons was headlining. And our mutual friend who you talked about earlier and I were standing there and, in a crowd of thousands and thousands and thousands of people on the beach. And I had to use the bathroom, as I do, because I drink a lot of water everywhere I go all the time. I drink an inappropriate. Every time I exercise, I drink 2 liters of water. And so I didn't want to pee in the sand or pee on anyone's leg or pee in a camelback, even though that...
That option is on the table.
That option is on the table. And you know what, Kyle? I'm ready to admit it. I peed in my camelback. It wasn't that year. It was the next year, I think.
Yeah, I know.
And you know what? I urge all of you, if you have portable water reservoirs, that is an easy solution. And you can just wash it out unless you have some acidity or like chemical problem with your urine.
I urge everybody just to go to a porta potty. Don't pee in your camelback.
Well, potato, tomato. So we were talking there, and our buddy and I, and so we were all pretty intoxicated on a variety of magical substances. And so he was like, well, I'll go with you. And so we start walking through the crowd, and 2 things happen. One, they start playing one of the really popular dancey songs. I don't remember exactly what the song was, but a lot of their songs are like happy dancey, and some of them are crushingly sad. But it wasn't a crushingly sad one. And the other thing that happened is that fireworks started going off over the top of the stage. And so in our state of mind and in the state of the festival, the culture that gets into your skin and makes you want to move and dance, we start dancing, and we start dancing with all these strangers and all these people. We start these dance circles. We go through, and our friend is like touching people on the face as we go by and making it really dramatic. And it was just this beautiful. The only way I can describe it was that it felt like being in a music video.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like it was just. I felt pure, exuberant happiness. I felt joy. It was so theatrical with the fireworks. The song was so good. My musical taste may be questionable, but it was a good song at the time. And all these people were there, and we're all on the same page. There's thousands of people jumping in the sand and dancing along, and it was just this incredible energy. And we finally get to the bathroom. And I was just standing there, and I remember my friend coming up and dispensing his urine next to me. And I just remember being like, that was one of the best experiences I've ever had. And he was like, yeah, it felt like a music video. And it was just so, the culmination. And I think, to see that outside of the context, it probably seems underwhelming and like, oh, you could just make an argument that it was, the chemicals or, oh, of course it would happen in that way. But there's just something that happens when you have, when the music is good and the people are there and, you have the kindness and the humanity, the realness and the rawness of the experience there, and everyone's there sharing it with you. And it was just so powerful. And that was one of the first times I realized, like, oh, this is amazing.
Yeah.
So that was one of my best experiences. I honestly haven't had a bad experience at a music festival.
No, me neither, for real, until the one. I mean,
the only time that I think I've had a bad, and this is really my ego, is when I've gone to, like, Forecastle or a local festival, and there's, like, you have so the interesting thing about music festivals in Louisville, Kentucky. So when you go to a destination music festival like Tomorrowland or like Bonnaroo or Hangout Fest, they're always going to be in a city like on the coast or in some area that's, a lot of local people probably won't go to, or maybe they do. And you have all these people from all over, and everyone's like, that's their destination. They're touring there and they're staying there. They're not local, But then when you have it in Louisville, Kentucky, I would say a lot of the demographic, and I don't know what the numbers are, I just assume from the people I've seen that a lot of people there are natives and they're local. And so the big thing about Kentucky is that we are bourbon, we're a lot of bourbon distilleries and where it comes from. And so when you get there, you have a really interesting blend of people. You have people that are there for the mind-expanding alteration of, new experiences, maybe the chemicals, all these new bands, all these new things. And then you have local people that are there because they drink bourbon and they knew that was in town that weekend. And I think my worst experience, anytime that I have a bad experience, is when I rub up against people that are usually local or natives, and they're just drunk or intoxicated, and they're unhappy, and they're grumpy, they're not silly, they're not there to have a good, they just seem like, why did you come to this? Like, why did you decide to pay the money to come be a part of this potentially incredible experience and just dump all over it?
Yeah, Louder Than Life's more of a...
well, I always had a good time at Louder Than Life.
Oh, are you talking about
I'm
Forecastle?
talking specifically about Forecastle.
Oh,
yeah.
I'd say the other way around. From my
okay.
experience, Forecastle seems more like people are there to have fun, and Louder Than Life, most people there just get drunk. But,
Yeah.
I mean,
I think the the ego part of that is like, well, just don't let it bother you, let it go. And I do, you do, but like that's really the only thing I can think about.
Yeah.
Like, and there's obviously scares when people drink too much, or they do, too much of a psychedelic or a substance, and they suddenly so a lot of things can happen, and there's obviously some scare and some danger there, being with that amount of people in a place like that, but. Given the sheer volume of people that turn out and the things that happen, it's really minuscule.
Oh, very. Yeah. That being said, though, how many people did we see taken out in stretchers at Louder Than Life this year?
Quite a few.
Do you remember that? Because it was like record heat. It was like over 100 degrees, I think.
Yeah. And beer's a diuretic and it drains the water out of you.
And you get drunk, and so you feel like you don't need to hydrate, and then you pass out.
Yeah, and then you take a fun ride on a canvas stretcher.
Yeah.
And you get to leave the party with a VIP entourage.
Yeah. We saw it many, many times this year.
Yeah.
So stay hydrated, people.
So let's see. Hydrate. I would say, like, what would be some, like, a way to give like top three tips for festival goers? And Kyle and I are not definitive by any means, like the master festival goers, but just drawing on our limited experience.
Stay hydrated.
Stay hydrated.
Number one.
100%.
No matter what you're doing, stay hydrated.
Yeah, that's really important. You may be there and having a good time, maybe high on life, maybe, high on other
maybe
substances.
life on high.
Maybe life on high, it could be, but, don't forget that your body is just draining and losing water in the heat, and nothing ruins seeing your favorite band, like, passing out and getting carried out.
And the more things you put in your body, the more water you will need. Just keep that in mind.
That's true.
Also, festivals are like a marathon, not a race. So
I love that.
Take it easy the first couple days.
That was told to me, and I was like, okay, like I'm gonna go hard, and then that's a great metaphor.
Especially when heat's involved. Like most festivals, it's pretty hot. Because there aren't many winter festivals, but
maybe this side of Iceland, I don't think so.
Yeah, but I've seen it plenty of times. Like John, can go super hard the first day, and having a great time, jumping all around in the heat, and then the second day you're just floored.
Yeah, I do that. I go hard because I find my favorite band or something. They always play on Friday, and I just lose my bananas all over the place, just dropping spaghetti and bananas everywhere with excitement. And then the next day, everyone's still maintaining their level, and I'm like, are you guys machines? I don't understand. And that's true. It is very much a marathon, and that was told to me, and I've gotten the hang of it.
Yeah, you definitely got it. I can't count the amount of times though that I've been like in a crowd with you, and then I'll look over at you and you're not there, and then I look down and you're just sitting on the ground cross-legged bobbing your head.
Yep. That's how I do, baby.
He just sits down and parties.
Hey, I still want to be there. I just don't want to be on my little toothpick legs anymore. I want to sit down and enjoy the stability of the earth.
Yeah. I bet with all this cardio you're doing now, though, you'll be able to last all weekend.
Oh, I hope so, Kyle. I sure hope so. I would love to last all weekend. I don't think I've lasted in anything that long.
Well, maybe
What would be like a third? Would be a good third thing? I'm trying to think like as it relates to people who want to bring like, if you're gonna bring illicit substances, which is often the play to make because they enhance the enjoyment of it, is to make sure that first of all, that is your choice to make. Like that is a dangerous thing, obviously, with Kyle's story, something that is 2.5 years now that he has been dealing with. And he's at the very end of it, and we're all very excited so he can leave the state and, not be a...
Almost, hopefully. I'm waiting on a call.
Get the charge expunged and everything. But, just be very careful. They at the place that at Hangout Fest, they kind of were interesting because there was kind of like a different scale. If you had a drug or a chemical that was available in other states, like that was legal in other states, like weed, cannabis, or anything in that family, they would just take it out and throw it away. They'd be like going inside. But if it was anything heavier, harder, something that's a Schedule I narcotic or anything like that, that's a very different. That was kind of met with a very different reaction.
Yup.
And they know. I mean, and when it happens, it's not like they're mad at you or they know why you have it in. But they also, in certain states, you make sure you know the state legislature. Make sure you know the legislature of the state you're going to. What are the laws on this substance in this state? If I'm an out-of-state resident, or if if I'm visiting this state, I think that's also very important to know.
Definitely, and I mean, really, really think if it's worth it or not. Because I always thought it was worth the risk until I got caught, and now
it happened to you.
Yeah, now I'm not doing that anymore. Yeah. It's not worth it.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the other side of that, the other side of the same coin is that there are so many things that being at a festival provides. There's so many incredible experiences. There's so many people, so many events, so many crafts, so many different music, so many different, just the look. There's just a multitude, indescribable multitude of human experience that's waiting for you there. And if you choose to enhance it, that's fine. But even if you go in, which a lot of people do, they go in sober and they just are there for the vibe.
Yeah.
That exists as well, and that's equally as meaningful.
Mm-hmm.
And
I've been to several like local festivals since then, completely sober. This is a great time.
Yeah, you have.
Yeah, it's really opened my eyes to not needing alcohol or drugs to have a good time.
Yeah, you get to be the dare class graduate token boy.
I was actually was the token boy, top of my class in Dare.
Are you serious?
Isn't that ironic?
Oh, so those who don't know, I assume most Americans know Dare is the drug abuse resistance and education thing that they pass through all public education. I don't know if it's still ongoing or
probably not.
It's probably failed.
Miserably.
Yeah, it actually just informs kids on what's out there, and they're like, "I've never heard of that cocaine, but I think I'd like to try."
All these things they said that it does sounds pretty cool, and they told me how they're going to look for it, so I know how to not do that.
Exactly. Yeah, educating through educating. the wrong education by well-meaning education. So yeah, you have 3 takeaways there from a relatively inexperienced and more experienced festival goer, and just be open. I think if I had a number 4, like it just like a bonus one, just be open to everything. Humanity is so multifaceted and varied, and there's so many different avenues for interactions with people, and so many ways to experience and re-experience. Especially when you go year after year different ways, that it really changes you and it changes how you feel about things, and that experience fundamentally changes. So it's different every time. So, just be open to it. Just maybe, I don't know, Kyle, what do people do to be open to new experiences?
Meditate. Meditate a lot. Meditate before you go in. Meditate when you leave. Meditate while you're in there.
Meditate while you're listening to the music and shut it out.
Yeah. Do that. You just go in with a good mindset. Don't try to, if you got things going on in life, just try to not bring that in there. Just have a good time.
That's right. Check your baggage with the Coatman.
Yeah.
With the Doorman, not the Coatman. I guess you could call a Doorman a Coatman.
No.
No. Can you imagine responding to a Coatman ad instead of a Doorman? You're expecting to, be kind of a concierge, and then you just like stand in the corner while people throw coats at you.
Excuse me, are you even qualified for this job?
Have you even seen a door? Do you know the way they swing on a hinge?
How many years have you been a doorman? Oh, but I was a Coatman.
Oh, this is terribly insufficient. This is embarrassing for everyone involved. Yeah, we'll see the general manager, and we'll get you squared away as the janitor.
I would ask you to show yourself the door, but you don't know what that is, do you?
It's that thing it's a slab that hinges on the wall. You open it, has the knob on it. Do you know what a knob is, you knob? Oh. Well, great. Well, do you have any final words for our audience? Do you have any final thoughts about music, about festivals, music culture, just anything in general?
Do it. Go to them. They're great. If you've never been to a music festival, try it out. It's a really good time.
I want to say that with a caveat. I have found... So Hangout Fest was the biggest one I'd ever been to, because there's I can't remember the number, but it's like multitudes of thousands of people, like 50 to 75,000 people. And I would recommend going to a mid-sized festival like that, and that will still feel like a lot, but it's much more manageable. And I've never been to the bigger ones, and that's by choice, because the big ones with 100,000 plus people, that seems like way too much for me, overstimulated, and kind of just, that's a lot to handle. So, start out with like a small or medium-sized local one, and, go test the waters and be open and follow the guidelines, the recommendations.
The crazy thing about music festivals is if they're done well, they're going to grow by large amounts every single year. So Hangout Fest was great the first 2 years we went, and then the next year it was pretty crowded, and the next year it was really crowded, and then the last year we went, it was dummy crowded.
Dummy thick with bodies.
Same with Bonnaroo and EDC, all these big festivals that you've heard about for years. At this point, it's just so...
It's definitely moved from the moorings of being like a small, very progressive, open mind, very people that love going, to a more very much corporate consumer kind of...
Definitely.
So yeah, look for the smaller startups or the sister burn, any type of affiliated...
Sister burners.
Sister burner. Burn your sister brother. I would look for the smaller ones. I think those are a great place to start and get your feet wet, so you're not immediately overwhelmed by the sheer, just the stimulus and the stimuli in the environment. Yeah, you like that? You like that? Yeah, Kyle likes that. Well, I think that's all I have. Do it.
Do it.
Do it.
Do it now.
Be safe. I don't think they're going to be doing it anytime soon.
Actually, don't do it now.
C
do
word.
it,
Yeah,
do
don't
it next year or maybe the year after.
Don't do. Yeah, let us make this very clear. If you go now, you will have a bad time.
Do it after a vaccine has been distributed and tested.
And as always, if you like the content, please subscribe and please give us a like and leave a comment if you want us to hear us talk about anything specifically. It helps us grow, and it makes Kyle and I feel real warm inside, and it's really meaningful. So thank you guys so much out there for listening. And
Bob, come back. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to insult your contribution to the channel.
Oh, that's all he's got. He's just got a page of these copy and paste, like, find women here live, find live women here, go here for .women.xxxx.
I feel like I've really put a damper on our relationship.
You know what? If we've talked about anything over the last 8 episodes, excluding the pilot and including the pilot for 9, I would say that the resiliency of the human relationship is such that we can find a way to repair this.
You think so?
I think we can get him back.
Okay.
I think it's going to involve live nude women. I think we can get them back.
All right.
All right. Thank you guys so much as always for listening, and we will see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.